been really excited about getting this started on Tractor Pulling with GZ. Our first guest here tonight on episode 1 of the founders of Midwest Pullers LLC out of Columbus, Kansas. We got Bernie over here. We're supposed to have Joe was on here tonight, but he had a family emergency. We got Brian with us, which Brian has been here since the beginning of the birth of the sled, or when the sled started. Bernie is also the founder of Midwest Pulling, or Midwest Pulling and Blackwater Pulling Sled. I want to thank everybody. I communicated with viewers on my Facebook page of Tractor Pulling with GZ on Facebook, and I had them send in questions, but I had them text it to my phone or send it through personal messenger, and I was overwhelmed with the response. I had 26 total messages. So thank you very much for that. And we're going to probably close with that today. On when we get to our closing, we'll read some of them questions and we'll give you a few answers, but we just can't answer them all tonight. So first, I'm going to ask these guys, tell me about how Midwest Pullers got started and what, how it all happened.
Well, we were pulling with Bourbon County so much, and they just kind of pissed us.
That's all right, you say it.
They pissed us off. And I just told them right then I was going to build my own sled. And that's what I did.
And what I hear, I wasn't around then, but I hear Joe was on. He was kind of the PR man, getting everything kind of set up for pulls and took care of the insurance, the LLC. But Bernie went to building a sled, so let's talk about building that sled. I know Brian was involved in it, and I believe this is 12 years now, right? Or this will be going on our 13th year? 13th year?
13th year, yeah.
While I'm talking about it, I made myself a note here. One of our comments was, what manufacturer company built that sled?
I built that sled.
That's what we'll talk about. How did you go out designing that sled? You start putting stuff.
I just started making it, and if something didn't look the way I wanted it, I'd change it, and just
Go from there.
just build it the way I thought it ought to be.
Brian did a lot of welding on it.
Yep.
Many late nights.
Mm-hmm. Ex-wife blamed our divorce on it.
Got a divorce over building a sled, huh? So, Tim Gwynn, I'm going to go ahead and go to some questions because I had so many people sent in. Tim Gwynn asked, and this is a good question. He said, let me find it here. I'll never find it. He said, how did you get started in doing the pulls? Each one of you guys. He wants each one of us to respond. So I'll start with myself. I was a horse puller for many, many years, and Bernie's dad and my dad pulled horses together. As a matter of fact, Bernie was even a horse puller at one time, back in these younger days. And he's been pulling for a long time, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm going to blame it on him. That's why I'm a tractor puller. I hung out with him and built a shop and got interested, and I quit pulling horses and started pulling tractors. So that's my story. Let's talk about you, Nick, because I want to talk to him last about that.
Well, me and his nephew Cody wanted to pull, so he told us we could pull this little four-cylinder tractor. So we got it out of the shed, got it running, repainted it. He blows it up before we get to pull it. So he let us pull his and the other tractor that they had at the time. So we pulled it, and then after that he said we could put a V8 on the frame. So I put a V8 on it, which is your tractor frame now. And that was 99. 1999.
We all know your story, but tell our viewers your story. How long you been pulling?
Well, tractors probably, since I was 17, 18 years old. And
That's a long time.
horses, we pulled ponies back when I was 12, 13 years old.
He's got trophies to our viewers. He's got trophies dating clear back in the early 70s. State Fair. He was telling me a story one time about the State Fair. What year was that? He went and took the Energizer to the State Fair.
97, I think.
What was that one trophy you won in 1978? That red and white blue?
76.
76. Pulling that antique.
My dad's age, Arnold.
So we've been pulling a long time. I'm going to tell a story. I thought about this earlier today. Years ago, I'm talking, maybe 10 years ago, I was still pulling horses and wasn't even interested in tractor pulling. Me and my wife raised goats, registered goats. And we'd sold some goats to some kids. And we went down to this fair to watch his goat show. And after the goats was over, I noticed at the arena they was having this tractor pull. So I decided to walk over there. And I got in there, and I got in there about the time the hot rods started. Did not know Vernon was there. And all these fancy hot rods were $2,000, $3,000 paint jobs, They was all coming down the track, and getting down there about 3/4 blade, spinning out, or, getting stuck, or whatever you want to call it. And so anyway, the old announcer said, up next is going to be old Vernon from Columbus, Kansas, driving old Scrappy. And I don't know, he might have knew you, but man, he was, I could hear this on the microphone, he was giving old Vernon heck, and never forget this. And he said, he says, look at that old thing. He said, why? He said the fenders is going to fall off of that. The old announcer was just giving him hell, on that tractor, and probably painted it with rattle cans from the dollar store, And anyway, it come time to old Bernie, he hooked on, and he took that thing across that rodeo arena, plumb out that exit gate, And the crowd just stood up, man. I thought that was the neatest thing. That was fun.
Yeah.
But smoked all them good-looking tractors, But anyway,
Now you can't even get third place.
do what?
So now you can't even get third place.
Hey, I want to talk about that too. I want to answer a question here. Rick Marty sent in, what year was the Energizer built?
It's probably 26 years old or something like that.
And it's got the same motor.
No, I didn't have seen one.
Oh, I thought it had the same motor.
No.
See, them boys are trying to cheat me, see.
No. It just got stock track motor on it now with cam.
What happened to the guy? Somebody sent this in too. We're going back to, now we're going to go to the Black Widow sled. Some guy sent this in, didn't have a name with it. He just texted me, he said, what happened to the guy that drove the semi and always flagged? And Jimmy, you watch this, you're gonna kick my butt, but he wasn't too energetic, but he was a really nice guy. Well, I got to thinking about that. I thought, well, that had to be Jimmy, So, but he's retired and moved on, and he still pulls tractors some around, with us and stuff like that. But anyway, I had a lot of good questions that was sent in. And speaking of the Black Widow sled, what date roughly, what year did you get that and fix that up?
Good question. I think it's been 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
I remember coming by after you got that. I was mowing hay or something, we fixed something on my mower. And you guys was trying to, or stacking weights inside the box or something.
Yeah.
That's
We bought her at Stratford, Missouri,
So,
and it was pretty light.
but anyway, Black Widow, or the Midwest sled has been going for, this will be our 13th year.
We built it in
Winter of 08.
08.
Winter
Yeah.
of 08. So, I want to clear up, checking my notes again, and I want to clear up something too for our viewers. Because I think everybody gets confused on that. Midwest Pullers LLC Facebook page is the Sled, and it's based out of Columbus, Kansas. And I think everybody kind of gets confused on that because they think Midwest Pullers is in the Midwest, you know. And I get all kinds of posts on it, you know. And Joe and I was talking about that. Joe said he came up with his name. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
He came up with Midwest Pullers back, we're looking 12 years ago. So that's how that got established 12 years ago. Bernie built a sled. He had a dream. And everybody thinks it's a manufactured sled. It's not. He designed it, built it. Brian helped build that. Black Widow sled was just kind of used at the time, and you did a lot of work on it.
Yeah, about all winter.
You know, and just recently put the wheels on the front to take the weight off of it when the tractor. Oh, I had another question on here was how hard would it to make the little sled pull back by itself? Self-contained or whatever you call it.
Oh, how hard?
Self-contained.
Yeah. I guess I can't read.
How hard would it be?
Yeah.
Well, it takes some doing, but I can get it done. But everybody tells me, leave it alone because it works so good the way it is.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Okay, I think we pretty well covered everything about the sled, so let's get into some more questions. I was telling Brian about this yesterday, and like I say, man, my phone was blowing up even last night. My phone was just blowing up with questions. And I asked Joe if he remembered this kid's name, and he said he didn't. He didn't, but he said it's been a long time ago, and he's met a lot of people and forgot their names. So anyway, the text message says, "My name is Mario." I guess I got that right, Mario, if you're listening. Marco was your name. A few years back, we pulled in a small town in Kansas. There was a bar beside it. Dad got a little tipsy. I had to drive him all the way back on a dirt road. All the way back home on a dirt road. I ran in the ditch on our way home. We had to unload the tractors and pull ourselves out. Dad recently died, and this story was told at the funeral. I was 13 years old back then. I'll never forget that day. And I guess the question is where was that at? I guess that was West Mineral, Kansas. That's where the sled started, and that's where the first pulls was at West Mineral, Kansas. We hardly ever went to, I mean, I wasn't involved then, but they hardly ever went to Missouri.
No.
Carson Schreiner, that was it?
No.
We didn't go there.
Really?
I just built a sled to figure we'd just use it right around our area, and then people started calling, wanting me to come here and come there, and we did it, and look what it's turned into.
Yeah. Different PR man.
Look what it's turned into.
But anyway, Mario closed his text with this. He says, "Tell those guys Short Stack said hi." And I know Joe didn't know who Short Stack is, and I said something to Bernie today. Short Stack. We'll think about it later, but they'll think about it later and know who you are. But it says, tell those guys Short Stack said hi. So, whoever Short Stack is, how you doing, buddy?
We had an old boy pull us one time we called tall stacks.
Really?
We had real tall yaws, but I can't place that one.
Another comment I got was, that was about the flagman. I already read that. And I had Jack, I was hoping Jack would be here. We want to thank Jack, Happy Jack. We're sitting in Happy Jack's museum. There ain't a whole lot in here yet. We're just opening up, but this is where our podcast is going to be, right here at Happy Jack's in the corner, our new studio. So, and I had Samantha ask me, the place you're filming, do you own it? Motorsports Museum, ? No, I do not own it. I'm just friends with the guy that runs the place, is going to open it, and he's been a race car driver for a long time. He's been in the motorsports. He's currently the president of the National Motorsports, and so this is the Motorsports Museum. So you have to come to Columbus, Kansas sometime and check that out. Becca asked, my husband don't do Facebook, but I do it for him. Our question is, what does a sled weigh?
Garden tractor sled
I
weighs
guess that's what she's talking about.
6,660 pounds.
That's with all the weights,
That's without
with the box down.
that's without the weights that we hang on there to take extra.
Okay. That was how much? 6,000?
Yeah, 6,660 pounds.
All right, there's your question right there answered. Robert writes, or would text me. Hi, my name is Robert. I was at a pull a couple years back and the sled broke. I think the box chain broke. How do you handle that and continue to carry on the show? We've been through that, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. Couple times.
We fix the chain and go on.
Fix the chain and go on. It might be shut down a little bit.
Well, at Carthage it broke
Yep.
Yeah.
on the last floor.
When broke at Chautauqua.
Yeah.
That actually was we had to do a little welding on that one.
Well, the shaft come out of the car. Yeah.
So, and man, I'll tell you what, that sled takes a beating, you know, on them hot tractors and stuff. You know?
Well, then that sled gets a lot heavier as the weight goes up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Rick Marty, we already answered that question. Rick Marty, I'm going to mention you again. You're a big fan, subscriber, I know. What year was the Energizer built? He's already answered that, and I've already forgotten.
26 years ago.
26 years ago, Rick Marty. Jennifer. She said, hi, my name is Jennifer. Is Uncle Bernie going to join you sometime? We would love to see him on the podcast. Well, Jennifer, I got to tell you this. Right in front of me is a young lady I've been married to for 40 years. And she runs the camera, and if Uncle Bernie shows up, the camera ain't going to be in front of us. So there's your question, or your answer. Kurt wrote, I watched every video you put on YouTube. I noticed a guy, and I told Brian about this one. I watch every video you put on YouTube. I noticed the guy running this sled wears a helmet sometimes when the hot stuff pulls. Is this mandatory and why?
He just does it when it's real dusty.
Yeah.
I'm really fascinated, or I don't know what the word is, fascinated that people see stuff like that in videos. I mean,
Well, across like in the Netherlands and stuff, they wear helmets. The operators will wear helmets all the time on the sled. Yeah.
and Pete will be on in a few weeks, so I'll keep that question though. I'll ask Pete, but I know why he does
It's
it.
the dust.
And it's for the dust and the face shield, and you know, you never know what can happen. I mean, watch YouTube, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Pete, you're a safety man. I like this one. I knew the guy, and you mentioned his name. Well, his name's Robert. He's an old horse puller friend of mine, and I guess he's subscribed to my YouTube channel, and he's also has joined the Facebook page, Tractor Pulling with GZ Facebook. He sent me a message. It says, what the hell made you start pulling tractors? We thought horse pulling was expensive. Loved your videos. It sure beats watching how the world turns. And I didn't know what that meant, you know, because I don't watch a whole lot of TV. My wife says, well, that's a soap opera. I didn't know that, you know. So thanks, Robert, for watching my videos. I'm glad I can entertain you.
Tractor pulling's got to be cheaper than horse pulling.
Oh yeah, tractor pulling got to be a lot cheaper. Well, I think that's about all the actual questions I had from, because I took, a lot of them was basically the same questions, you know, and But anyway, I hope we answered everybody's questions about the sled. We ain't gonna get into the future on this podcast, you know, because you never know what the future holds. And but I will tell you this, you know, if you continue pulling with us, we're gonna make a few changes this coming year. Not no major changes, but some changes, and we'll get into that later on this winter when we get time to write some stuff down. So, have I missed anything, guys? It's going to be short and sweet for our first episode. Kind of working out the kinks.
Yeah.
I got to get used to the camera in my face.
Well, I shouldn't bother you, eh?
No, it don't really bother me now. It's just sitting here, you know, makes it a little interesting.
Yeah.
I tried to make the backdrop here, kind of a little different here. Got some trophies, some of them's Bernie's, a couple of them's mine. This one over here, when we were talking, Bernie knew this guy. This big one over here. What was the guy that pulled the door?
You would have to ask me, because I ain't very good with names.
Anyway, this guy, we don't know what his name was, but he pulled a pretty hot Deutz tractor, and I think the Deutz is still around this area somewhere. And he passed away, and the lady donated it to me, so appreciate that. And then this one over here, I think on this side is one of yours from the Missouri State Fair, right?
There.
So that, so,
Oh, what year it was?
I don't know.
6?
1997.
Oh, 1997.
1997. Wow. That was back when I was just thinking about war.
Yeah, me and Jim went 4 years in a row.
Wow. Well, I think we're going to wrap up. It's kind of short and sweet. Our first one. With hope we answer some questions.
Bernie pulled with the tires off the front of it.
People who what? Now we're getting interested here. What happened now?
Well, I went in and I pulled, and when I came down, I busted one front wheel. It went. We couldn't tell how high it went because it was in the dark at Butler, Missouri, in the fair or in the rodeo ring. All right. So I asked him if I could hook it next time. They said, "Well, you can get it in there." So I got it in there and got it hooked on, but I couldn't get the front end up, and finally when I did, it come back down, broke over.
That's funny. That's funny.
But that tire went so high, and everybody was sitting in the bleachers going, just looking around, trying to figure out when that tire come down right in front of the bleacher and bounced back up. We couldn't see it, and it ended up in the rodeo again.
So how did you do on that hook?
Which one, that one?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That's been a long time ago.
That's
But
funny.
I know my wheels popped off, you know.
That's funny. I can remember when I first started, that when I first got into this with you guys, I was flagging in West Mineral or something. And you know what I'm talking about. And that one guy's tractor blowed up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that whatever time.
Blowed out the side,
yeah,
A part
rock
flew. I thought it was pretty interesting, you know, stuff like that. I mean, as a newcomer, you know, to this.
Well, I seen a motor in mini rod turn completely sideways while it was flowing.
And you watch YouTube, you know, and you see all kinds of big wrecks, you know. We've been fortunate, you know.
We've been real
of course,
lucky.
you know, we try to keep it safe for everybody.
We've been real lucky on
We just always have problems when we get them home.
somebody getting
I
hurt.
try to go through the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk for kind of Joe's part, you know, Joe ain't here tonight, but, I'm kind of involved a little bit now, and, I don't know how to put this, but on behalf of Bernie, you know, I mean, working with Bernie on this deal, there's a lot to put the pull on, you know. A lot of people think it's simple, you know. There's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Oh, yes.
You know, you gotta have liability insurance. And there's places, you know, you gotta provide that liability insurance paper to show them people you have insurance. And I don't know if you've all bought liability insurance lately. It ain't cheap, you know? And, you know, you hear, of course you hear a lot, but, you know, man, you guys are high. Well, we ain't high compared to other places, you know, around the area, away from our area. You know, they charge a lot more, but, you know, you got to consider, you got fuel, you're getting the sled there, all the equipment, you know, you got your insurance, and of course, you have to pay taxes, you know, because it's a business, you know, more or less.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of expense behind the scene that people don't think about, you know. But then you deal with, you know, you get a phone call and then you got to work everything out, prizes and stuff with you know, where you're going and stuff like that. So there's a lot of phone time, you know, dealing with whoever you're going to pull on the phone. I was going to talk about something else and I keep forgetting what I was going to say, and that would sound good on this, but, oh yeah, somebody asked me the other day, we were talking about after the Columbus pull. Let's talk about that. What made you build the V8 tractor, the International, or the little H?
What made me?
Yeah.
Well, same way everything I ever built, I went to a pool and seen it, and I come back home and built one.
There you go. There you go. The way it pulls too.
But I,
Catches
those,
our eyes.
that class of tractors, they pull up in the northern part of the country. And I figured I might could get them started down here.
Yeah.
So far, you know, hadn't panned out too good.
Well, you guys got anything else to say? Any more interesting stories? You got one. Surely you got one.
Oh, I probably got a few. I'm trying to think.
You know, keep them clean, because we got a lot of viewers out here. You know, I know some stuff that we shouldn't talk about too. You know, I remember one time, not too long ago, and you said it hadn't been that in years, when you took off down the track and your mini rod came way up in the air.
Yeah, made me a little nervous.
You said something about putting a diaper on it.
Yeah.
I think I got a picture of that. I think that's on our Facebook page. So,
Well, that's how I got my mini rod. I went and watched them. Oh, that's been a long time ago. But everybody said, hey, you ought to come over and watch him. So we drove over to Missouri and watched him. And that winter, I built the mini rod. And then,
I would have to be like, I remember coming down there when he was building it. I was like in the 4th or 5th grade.
wow, that's a long time ago.
and then somebody said, you ought to go over here and watch them guys. So I went over and watched them. That small boo tractor that I called Scrappy, I went and I seen them at Caney, and I come home that winter and built that one. And I pulled over there for, oh shoot, I don't know, because the mini rods had died out. I put the motor off my mini rod on that tractor. And then Mary, she drove the big tractor, the 6,500 pounds, and we went every weekend over in Kansas to pull them guys. You know.
Wow. Oh, I got another, just came in here a couple hours ago. Give me a minute to find it here. And I kind of agree with this, but I'm really not sure how to go at this. It's from Richard. He says, what is the answer for getting rules standardized in the same state of Kansas, in this radius, you know, the area out of Missouri and Kansas, because we're also close to Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and have all the same rules, you know. And he said, could you work on that with this podcast? You know,
Well, I will not do Oklahoma rules, that's for sure.
And anyway, you know, I don't know how to answer that. So I'm kind of new at this.
Well, most of them, what our rules kind of is basically what they have in Missouri,
Yeah.
you know. In Oklahoma, I don't give a crap about that. Because they've got too many classes for antiques and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
won't do it.
I guess he was talking about the little sled, I'm not
But the
sure.
little sled, that's what I made the rules for that is off of the ones that we pull with in Missouri, you know. And there ain't no way you can really get all of them the same, if you ask me, you know. Because they even got, well, like we went to
Some places
we went to
require
Old
roll
Bar.
Yeah.
We went down to the fair and put that pull on, you seen what their rules were.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
None of our tractors could pull.
of course, I don't know if I talk about this on the podcast, well, why not, because you're probably watching. They asked me, they called me, I don't know why, but they called me, oh, it's been
We're-
after, I think I told you about
You're
it.
the PR man.
Well, I think I told you about it already. They called us and asked if we would come back, you know, if we would come back and pull, or bring the sled. And I said, yeah, I guess so, you know, but, you know, we're gonna pull on our rules, or our classes,
Yeah.
anyway, you know? And that was all it said, so, but he did ask us, he called me and asked me if we'd come back. I don't know who the guy was. I'm horrible, you know, with my business and stuff, I get so many phone calls, I mean, it's like these texts, I had to write these texts down because I think I probably received 50 texts today, and over half of them was work texts, you know, so.
The old timer that was over there, he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. But,
Can't think of his name.
Carl was his name. Heck of a good old boy.
Yeah.
He was a good old boy. Really liked him. But anyway, any more stories before we close?
Not that I can think of.
We can always come back sometime, do this
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
We can
yeah.
think of some more, so.
We need to take videos of what happens in the shop.
Yeah, what happens in the shop.
Yeah.
We got run over one day by a mini rod.
Yeah.
Well, we got time to tell that one.
Bent my door on the shop.
We got time to tell.
Well, what happened is, it wasn't running right, so we backed it, it was James Reed's. So we pulled around in front of his shop, Bernie adjusted the carburetor and it started to run a little better. And I reached up there, it had a standard 3-speed transmission up there, and I reached up there and gassed it a few times. And all of a sudden that thing went clunk. And I was leaned over I don't know why, I ended up over the top of the motor, burnt the heck out of my arm. It ran over Bernie, knocked him against the shop door, and then finally sat there and killed itself against the shop door.
Yeah, I've been
End
to
of the
shop
door.
door. Yeah, I've been to shop worker again.
Then we drag raced one time up there at Mineral after a pull. And
Being
I
so
seen it,
loud.
I kind of went off to the side and Bernie seen it too late. It hit the trailer and bit the fender frame on the mini rod.
Some guy asked me why, I'll probably get some bad comments about this, but I remember one time on my, I had a video posted, I can't remember which one it was, on tractor pulling with GZ on the pulling channel, or the pulling stuff. And some guy asked me something about, because we don't have a row bars, you know. 'Cause us guys from this area, we don't do the row bar deal. And he said, I can't understand why you don't have a row bar. And I said, well, I can't get to the gate when I gather my cows. I told him that, you know, so.
Well,
And I wouldn't be smart about it, you know.
you know, the roll bars are fine, seat belts are fine, but we were pulling at Pierce City one time, and the chain broke on the old sled, and that guy didn't let out of it. When he did, he turned crossways. The tire grabbed the pan, he put it clear up on there, and shoved him off his track. Well, now, if it had a roll bar, that wouldn't have happened. But after that, they never made you wear your seatbelt, because if it had his seatbelt on, it would have just cut him in two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the roll bars is fine. But you sat in there, and if you got individual brakes, they're great.
Yeah.
But where we don't run individual brakes, you can't move. You're sitting in there, and you
I
can't
couldn't-
get your weight over you know, to
I couldn't
guide
go,
the tractor.
I couldn't go nowhere with mine, you know, because I have to lean.
But-
Everybody says, well, my wife, you know, when she'll edit a video or something, she'll say, well, why are you leaning there? You look like you're waving, you know. Well, I'm leaning with
He
my
is.
weight out there.
Most of
you
the
know,
time he is
you know.
waving.
Yeah, I'm waving, you know, hi girls, you know, no.
But, yeah, I mean, you know, that's fine, that's fine. We've been lucky, we haven't had nobody hurt. Because most of the time, you got any sense, you know,
Stop.
yeah.
And we had a couple close calls, you know, we one time we was at a pull and yes, everybody should have wheel bars, you know, but
That's a must.
some dummy, like the guy sitting in the middle here, said, hey, I've had a request for a lot of, lawnmowers to pull. You know, I mean, it's talking slow lawnmowers, you know, at first, you know, that was all what it wanted to be.
Mhm.
Because we had them in Columbus here, you know, some kids from Columbus wanted to come play, you know, so we made a class for them. Well, then we took it on to other places. It was called the grass class. And we were in Stock City.
No meat on it.
Well, I thought it was Stock
Well,
City.
kids
What happened to
fell
me?
back.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was.
You know, yeah,
And, you know, it came up and went over, so.
yeah.
And we've even had that happen. Our old buddy Festus forgot to put his wheel bars in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's all
Yeah.
so. Another important thing, you know, like on the mini rods, you know, you gotta have them bumper bars, you know.
See, we didn't have no bumper bars back then. It was just the wheelie bar was down like this, and that sled got on that, and come up and got a hold of the tire. And then that's when they started making,
Well, didn't recent,
Bumper bar.
not our sled, but didn't recently here a while back, something happened where, I can't remember who it was. Something happened where the sled went over on top of somebody, pulling, and they had to dig him out. Didn't hurt him.
Oh, I'm not sure. I know,
I think that was on our Facebook, our Midwest Pullers Facebook page. Somebody had shared that.
that old sled that we used.
the one that should go over Mumford that one time.
That old sled that we used, that Uncle had for a while, that's the one that forced that vehicle. And if that weight come up too fast and hit, the stuff out of the weight box would fly out and hit the driver.
Hey, that makes me think about Halco. Halco, you're gonna kick my butt, but did you know Marco? Did you know Marco's dad? When they came to West Mineral, and the boy had to drive home? He might know him.
You
Be
could.
Monday.
Yep, Marco, we don't know you, but Halco might know you. Dad got a little tipsy at the bar.
Battery's down.
So, all right, we're gonna get out of here and we'll catch you on the next one. Keep between the lines. Thanks for watching.